Alina Morales pushed her cleaning cart down the hallway of Sterling Technologies' executive floor, her yellow rubber gloves squeaking against the handle. It was 11 p.m. on a Thursday night, and the building was supposed to be empty except for security and the night cleaning crew at 27. Alina had been working as a janitor for 3 years, ever since her ex-husband had left her with their daughter Sophia and a mountain of debt. It wasn't glamorous work, but it paid the bills and let her be home during the day for her 5-year-old daughter. Sophia stayed with Alina's elderly neighbor, Mrs. Chen, during the night shifts, an arrangement that cost less than proper childcare, but still ate into Alina's meager paychecks. Alina was so lost in thought about Sophia's upcoming birthday, trying to figure out how to afford both the small party her daughter wanted and the new shoes she desperately needed, that she almost didn't notice the man slumped in his chair in the corner. Almost, but the way his head was tilted at an odd angle, the strange pallor of his skin, visible even from the doorway, made Alina stop. She recognized him from the photos in the lobby. Dominic Sterling, the 35-year-old CEO who'd built this tech company from nothing into a billion-dollar empire. "Mr. Sterling," Alina called out hesitantly, hovering at the doorway. "Sir, are you okay?" No response. Alina's heart began to race. She moved closer, and that's when she saw it. The opened insulin pan on the desk, the overturned glass of orange juice, the medical alert bracelet on his wrist that read, "Type 1 diabetes." Lena had a cousin with diabetes. She recognized the signs immediately. The shallow breathing, the cold sweat on his forehead, the unresponsiveness. Hypoglycemia, severe and getting worse. He'd clearly tried to treat it himself with the juice, but had lost consciousness before he could drink enough. Her cleaning training had included basic first aid. She knew she should call 911, get help immediately. But she also knew that with blood sugar this low, every second mattered. Brain damage could occur within minutes. Death could follow. The glucose gel was on the desk, but Dominic was unconscious, his jaw clenched. There was no way to get him to swallow it safely. Elena's mind raced through what she knew about emergency diabetes treatment. She needed to get sugar into his system fast, but how? Then she remembered something her cousin had told her: in absolute emergencies, before paramedics arrived with 4 glucose, you could try putting honey or glucose gel inside the cheek, where it could absorb through the mucous membranes. But getting his mouth open while he was unconscious and seizing slightly was dangerous. He could aspirate. Alina grabbed the glucose gel with shaking hands and squeezed a small amount onto her finger. Then, with her other hand, she gently tilted Dominic's head, trying to position him so he wouldn't choke. She carefully pushed the gel inside his cheek, massaging it against the tissue where it could absorb. But he was barely responsive, and she knew it wasn't enough. His breathing was becoming more labored, his color worse. In her panic, watching this man dying in front of her, Alina made a split-second decision based on something she'd once heard. That glucose could absorb fastest through the thinnest mucous membranes, including the lips and tongue. She put more gel on her lips, and then, praying she wasn't making a terrible mistake, she pressed her mouth to his, not in a kiss of romance, but one of desperate medical necessity, trying to transfer the glucose through the membrane contact, while also attempting to get his mouth open enough to push more gel inside safely. What the hell is going on here? Alina jerked back to find 2 people standing in the doorway, a man in a business suit with his phone out, filming, and a woman beside him looking shocked and disgusted. "This janitor is attacking Mr. Sterling," the woman exclaimed. "No," Alina said desperately. "He's having a severe diabetic emergency. His blood sugar is critically low. I'm trying to help him. Please call 911. But the man was already filming, already making assumptions. "I've got it all on video. Security." Alina wanted to explain, to defend herself, but Dominic's condition was deteriorating. She ignored them and turned back to him, continuing to administer the glucose gel, tilting his head properly monitoring his breathing. She'd called 911 on her work phone, and dispatch was talking her through additional steps. By the time paramedics arrived, 5 minutes later, Dominic's color had improved slightly, and his breathing had steadied. The glucose gel had worked, buying enough time for professional help to arrive. The EMTs immediately started an IV with dextrose solution and stabilized him for transport. "You saved his life," one of the paramedics told Lena as they wheeled Dominic out. "Another few minutes, and we'd be looking at brain damage, or worse." Quick thinking with the glucose absorption. But Elena barely heard him. She was being detained by building security. The video from the business suit man already being reviewed, her supervisor being called in. The narrative being constructed was damning. A janitor taking advantage of an unconscious CEO, caught on camera in what looked like an inappropriate act. "I was saving his life," Elena kept repeating, but she could see the skepticism in their eyes. A janitor and a billionaire. It looked bad. In the video, without context, looked worse. Elena was fired that night. Her supervisor, pressured by upper management who were terrified of a lawsuit, let her go immediately. "We have a zero-tolerance policy for inappropriate conduct with building occupants," he said, not meeting her eyes. "I'm sorry, Elena. I believe you, but my hands are tied." Lena left the building at 3 a.m. with her personal belongings in a box, knowing she had to face Sophia in a few hours, and had no idea how she'd pay next month's rent. She didn't know that Dominic Sterling had woken up in the hospital, been told what happened, and was absolutely furious. "She saved my life, and you fired her?" Dominic said, his voice dangerously quiet as he sat in the emergency meeting with his head of security and HR. "Explain to me how that makes sense." "Sir, the optics were very concerning," the security chief stammered. "The video shows her kissing you while you were unconscious. We have policies about the video shows her administering emergency medical treatment, using the only method available to her when I was literally dying." Dominic cut him off. "Did anyone bother to ask the paramedics? Did anyone check the medical facts before destroying this woman's livelihood?" "Silence. Find her," Dominic ordered. "Find Elena Morales. Get me her address, her phone number, whatever you need. And someone better have a very good explanation for why you fired someone for saving a life, or there are going to be consequences for everyone in this room." 2 days later, Elena was in her tiny apartment trying to figure out how to tell Sophia that Mommy lost her job, when there was a knock on the door. She opened it to find Dominic Sterling standing in her hallway, looking healthy but determined, flanked by what appeared to be a lawyer and his assistant. "Ms. Morales, may I come in?" Dominic asked. "I believe I owe you an enormous apology in my life." Elena, stunned, stepped aside. Dominic entered her modest apartment, taking in the worn furniture. The toys neatly organized in one corner, the medical bills stacked on the counter. His expression grew more troubled with everything he saw. "I'm Dominic Sterling, though I suppose you know that. I'm the man you saved, and I'm here to tell you that firing you was the most unjust, unconscionable thing my company has ever done, and I'm going to make it right." "I don't want to cause any trouble," Elena said quietly. "I just want to work. I have a daughter to support." "Where is she?" Dominic asked gently. "At school. She's 5. Elena's voice broke. "I have until next week to find a new job, or we'll lose the apartment. I've been applying everywhere, but word travels fast, and apparently I'm now the woman who attacked a CEO." Dominic's jaw tightened. "That narrative ends today. My lawyer here is prepared to issue a statement to every news outlet, every industry publication, explaining exactly what happened. You'll be cleared of all allegations with a public apology from Sterling Technologies." "That's not necessary," Elena protested. "Absolutely is necessary," Dominic said firmly. "But that's not why I'm really here. Elena, you saved my life when you had every reason to just call 911 and wait. You could have protected yourself, avoided any risk of consequences. But instead, You did what was medically necessary, even though it looked compromising. You put my life above your own job security. Anyone would have done the same, Elena said. We both know that's not true, Dominic replied. Elena, I want to offer you a position at Sterling Technologies, not as a janitor, but as my executive assistant. The job pays $120,000 a year, full benefits, retirement matching. It includes allowances for childcare and your daughter's education. Lena stared at him. That's too much. I don't have the qualifications for that kind of position. You have the qualifications that matter most. Quick thinking under pressure, moral courage, the ability to do what's right instead of what's easy. I can teach you the technical aspects of the job. I can't teach someone to have the character you demonstrated. People will say I'm getting special treatment because of what happened, Elena said. People will say all sorts of things regardless of what you do, Dominic countered. The question is whether you're going to let their opinions keep you in poverty when you've earned a better opportunity. Elena, you saved my life. Let me help rebuild yours. Elena looked around her apartment, thought about Sophia, about the bills, about the future she wanted for her daughter. Can I think about it? Of course, Dominic said, but I hope you'll say yes. And Elena, I want you to know something. I've been CEO for 10 years. I've met thousands of people, worked with the best and brightest minds in technology, but I've never met anyone who demonstrated the kind of selfless courage you showed. You're remarkable, and I hope you'll give me the chance to prove that Sterling Technologies deserves to have you on our team. After he left, Elena cried, not from despair this time, but from relief, hope, and the overwhelming feeling that something in her life had finally shifted. She called Dominic the next day and accepted the position. The first few weeks were challenging. Elena was learning an entirely new skill set, navigating a corporate world she'd only observed from the outside. But Dominic was patient, teaching her, trusting her, making it clear to everyone that she'd earned her position through merit and courage. The media had picked up the story, but with the truth now public, the narrative had shifted. Elena was called a hero, praised for her quick thinking and medical knowledge. Marriage proposals and job offers flooded in, which Elena found both flattering and overwhelming. How are you handling all the attention? Dominic asked one afternoon as they reviewed his schedule. It's strange, Elena admitted. 3 weeks ago, I was invisible. Now, everyone wants to know my story. But honestly, I'm just trying to focus on doing this job well and being there for Sophia. How is she adjusting? Dominic asked. It must be a big change for her too. She's happy that mommy isn't tired all the time anymore, Elena said with a smile, and she likes the new daycare. She's made friends. Over the following months, Elena proved herself indispensable. She was organized, intuitive, and unafraid to tell Dominic the truth, even when it wasn't what he wanted to hear. She managed his impossible schedule with grace, headed off problems before they escalated, and brought a groundedness to his work that he hadn't realized he'd been missing. But beyond the professional relationship, something else was developing. Dominic found himself looking forward to their morning coffee reviews, to Elena's dry commentary on difficult clients, to the photos of Sophia she'd share from her lunch breaks. And Elena, despite her best efforts to maintain professional boundaries, found herself drawn to this brilliant, driven man who treated her with more respect than anyone in her life. I'm falling for my boss, Elena confessed to Mrs. Chen one evening. How cliché is that? Is he a good man? Mrs. Chen asked wisely. He's a very good man, Elena said. But he's also a billionaire CEO, and I'm a former janitor with a kid. It's impossible. You saved his life, Mrs. Chen pointed out. That's a pretty good foundation for a relationship. 6 months after Elena started working for Dominic, he asked her to dinner. Not a working dinner, but a real date. I know this is complicated, Dominic said. I know there are power dynamics we have to be careful about. But Elena, I've spent half a year watching you transform my company, bring humanity to my work, make me want to be better. I'm falling in love with you, and I need to know if there's any possibility you might feel the same way." "I do feel the same way," Alina admitted. "But Dominic, I'm terrified. What if it doesn't work out? What if people say I used the situation to manipulate you? What if Sophia gets attached, and then we break up?" "All valid concerns," Dominic said. "But here's what I know. I've been looking for someone who sees me as Dominic, not as a bank account or a status symbol. You knew me first as a dying man. You helped. Not as a CEO. You argued with me about my terrible eating habits before you knew I could fire you. You're exactly what I've been looking for, Alina. Let me prove to you that I'm worth the risk." Their relationship developed slowly, carefully, with Sophia always at the center of their considerations. Dominic was patient with the little girl, winning her over with genuine interest and respect rather than expensive gifts. He showed up to her school performances, helped with her homework, became a stable presence in her life. "Is Mr. Dominic going to be my daddy?" Sophia asked Elena one evening, 6 months into their relationship. "Would you want that?" Elena asked carefully. Sophia said simply, "He makes you happy, and he makes really good pancakes. Those are the important things." Dominic proposed a year after their first date, but not to Elena. He proposed to Sophia first, asking her permission to marry her mother, to be her father if she'd let him. "I can't promise I'll be perfect," Dominic told the 6-year-old seriously, "but I can promise I'll always try my hardest. And I promise I'll love your mom and you with everything I have." "Okay," Sophia said, "but you have to keep making pancakes." "Deal," Dominic said, shaking her small hand solemnly. Then he proposed to Elena, not with the $1 million ring, but with a simple band and a promise. "You saved my life that night. Let me spend the rest of it showing you what that gift meant. Marry me, Elena. Let's build a family together." "Yes," Elena said through tears. "Yes, to all of it." Their wedding was small and meaningful, with Sophia as the flower girl proudly announcing to everyone that, "My mom kissed my dad and saved his life, and now we're all family." At the reception, Dominic gave a speech that addressed the unusual circumstances of their meeting directly. "A year and a half ago, a woman I'd never met made a split-second decision to save a dying stranger using whatever method was available to her. That decision was recorded, misinterpreted, and nearly destroyed her life. But Elena, being Elena, didn't let that stop her. She took the opportunity I offered, proved her worth every single day, and showed me that the most valuable people in life are often the ones society overlooks." He looked at Elena with such love that several guests openly cried, "You saw me at my most vulnerable, when I was literally dying. You didn't see a CEO or a billionaire. You saw a human being who needed help, and you gave it without hesitation. That's who you are, Elena. Someone who sees people, okay? Who helps without expecting anything in return. Who does what's right, even when it costs you. I'm honored to be your husband, humbled to be Sophia's father, and grateful every day that you kissed me that night." Lena stood up, took the microphone, and added, "And I'm grateful that you saw past the assumptions, past the optics, past what it looked like, and recognized what it was, an act of compassion in an emergency. You could have believed the worst, Dominic. Instead, you investigated, you learned the truth, and you fought to make things right. That's who you are. Someone who values truth over convenience. Who rewards courage, even when it's messy. Who builds people up instead of tearing them down. I'm honored to spend my life with you." Years later, Sophia would tell the story at school career day, explaining how her mother saved a man's life and ended up building a new life for their family. "My mom says that doing the right thing isn't always easy or pretty or safe," Sophia would say. "Sometimes it looks wrong to other people, but you do it anyway because it's right. And sometimes, if you're really lucky, doing the right thing changes everything." Elena never went back to janitorial work, but she never forgot where she came from. She established a scholarship fund for children of service workers, funded job training programs for single parents, and became an advocate for treating all workers with dignity, regardless of their position. And sometimes, when Dominic worked too late or forgot to monitor his blood sugar, Alina would kiss him and say, "I saved your life once. I'm not letting you throw it away by not taking care of yourself." And Dominic would smile and say, "I owe you everything. My life, my happiness, my family. All because you had the courage to do something that looked wrong, but was absolutely right." 'Cause sometimes saving someone's life isn't about grand gestures or heroic speeches. Sometimes it's about doing what needs to be done, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it might be misunderstood, even when it costs you something. And sometimes, if you're very lucky, that moment of courage becomes the foundation for a love story that proves that dignity, compassion, and truth will always triumph over assumptions, prejudice, and surface appearances. If this story moved you, please like, share, and subscribe for more tales of courage, second chances, and love found in the most unexpected moments. Leave a comment about times when doing the right thing seemed wrong to others, or when someone saw past appearances to recognize your true worth. Share your thoughts on how we can all be more careful about our assumptions and more willing to learn the full truth before judging. Remember, heroes aren't always recognized immediately. Justice doesn't always happen quickly, but character and courage eventually reveal themselves. And sometimes, the person you save ends up saving you right back.